Hello there you guys, welcome to another one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So first talk of the development, I'm going to give you an update on is in regards to Lyon's Moussa Dembele. Now Manchester United, we have reportedly expressed our interest in Moussa Dembele. He's a current forward for Lyon. I think reports were coming out about 3 or 4 weeks ago saying that Manchester United we had expressed our interest in the player. Reportedly, according to the Metro and all that, Manchester United are reportedly preparing to put a bid in of around £40 million for Moussa Dembele, and obviously probably Manchester United are identifying him as a possible replacement of Romelu Lukaku, because obviously Lukaku is heavily linked to move to Italy, and there has been talks that Lukaku could depart the club this summer, and I do believe that we do need a striker, someone that can score goals and all that, and that's the thing with Latte throughout the course of this season. We haven't scored enough goals, we haven't been ruthless enough in front of goal, we haven't been clinical enough, and I do believe we need someone that can currently score goals. And analysing Moussa Dembele's performances throughout the course of this season with Lyon, he has scored quite a lot of goals as Moussa Dembele. Only this season, it's only been his first season with Lyon, because obviously Lyon got him last summer from Celtic for around £20 million. I think he signed a 5-year contract, so he's under contract with Lyon until 2023. I think he's initially valued around £40 million. I think Moussa Dembele also played for Fulham, when he was a lot younger. I think he spent like 3 seasons in the senior squad, but he did have 2 good years in Scotland with Celtic, so he has proven himself as Moussa Dembele. He's very, very young, he's 22 years of age, so he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer he's worked out his transfer strategy, and obviously he did say that he's had quite a few meetings, about discussing about our recruitment, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer intends to bring a number of young players, that can grow, develop and emulate into superstars. So I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is intending on bringing any short-term players in, and I do believe it's going to be hard for us, to attract players to the highest level, because we're not in Champions League football. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still believes we can attract players to the elite level, even though we're not in Champions League football, of course. And he's showed that he's emphasised an interest in quite a few young players as Solskjaer, which is very, very good. And Solskjaer did say that he has been contacted by a number of agents, saying that their players, do want to come to Manchester United. Of course, Solskjaer's going to get a spending spree of around £250 million this summer, and that can probably get you around 5 signings, maybe even more, depending on how you spend the money in the summer. We're going to go crazy with the money. Are we going to be sensible with our recruitment? I'm not too sure, but it's going to be hard for us, to get our number 1 targets. But if we can cash in for the likes of Lukaku and Pogba, that's going to help us with our rebuilding process, and it will help us with our transition. But do you think Moussa Dembele would be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku? Because I think Lukaku is one of the problematic players, because I think he's enjoyed a very, very difficult second season with Manchester United. Initially lost his players in the team, and as you all know, I've got strong reservations about Romelu Lukaku, as you all do currently know, because he's too slow when it comes to him playing the big teams. He's a big game bottler. His first touch, really concerns me. And of course, Manchester United paid £75 million for him, plus £15 million in add-ons, which had risen the deal to £90 million. He's still got 3 years left on his contract, and he's on about £250,000 a week. His pedigree is very, very good in the Premier League. He has scored a lot of goals in the Premier League. But talking about him, he can sometimes perform better, when he's getting that support up front. He can look a bit more effective, but he hasn't got that endless potential. His finishing concerns if he does Lukaku's, but he did well in his first season for Manchester United. He scored 27 goals in all competitions, but I think he's destined, to make the move to Italy, because he did admit his dream of playing in the Serie A, and I think Lukaku admitted this a while back, and I think a while back Lukaku's agent admitted Lukaku's future is very, very open. So Manchester United will probably be looking to recoup the initial £75 million we did pay for him. He's been linked with Juventus, and he's also been linked with a move to Inter Milan as Romelu Lukaku. So do you think Moussa Dembele would be the good replacement for Lukaku? Because obviously the likes of Martial and Rashford at the moment aren't reliable enough to deliver us them goals that we do currently need, because Martial and Rashford, of course, haven't graduated to that level, and it's going to take him at least a couple of years to graduate to that level. So a lot of talks going on about Moussa Dembele, 22 years of age, initially valued at around £40 million, but reportedly Manchester United are preparing to put a bid in of around £40 million for Moussa Dembele, 22 years of age, done very, very good throughout the course of this season with Lyon. So do you think he'd be able to produce and deliver the same element of the performances, if he was to come in the Premier League? So there has been a lot of talks about him, but you can see the deficiencies in our squad. You can see the key areas where Manchester United are lacking, and we've got to resolve these problems in the summer. As I did say, it's not always about getting the Galactico players. It's not always about spending big on players, because that always doesn't guarantee you success, and it doesn't always get you in that commanding position, where you do currently want to be, because Man United have got an history of spending big on players. Prime example, Lukaku, 75 million, Paul Pogba, of course, 89 million pounds. So I've heard some people, saying maybe we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, but we've got to get the right recruitment this summer, because analysing our recruitment policy is extremely very, very poor. But Solskjaer did say he wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club, and he's looking to buy into our history. He's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I do believe in the next couple of seasons, at least, our aspirations is going to be the top 4. I do believe we are at least 3 or 4 years off, from mounting any kind of title challenge up at the moment. City are strides ahead of us, Liverpool strides ahead of us, and obviously, teams like Liverpool and City and Arsenal are probably, going to try and invest this summer. So it's very, very important, that we do get the right recruitment. But £250 million, I think, is enough. But as I said, if we can cash in for Pogba and Lukaku, that's going to help us with our rebuilding process. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still in the process of rebuilding now, because obviously, none of this squad is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. Obviously, since Ferguson retired, we know a lot of money's been spent in the club. We do know we've had different managers with different philosophies, and we have been playing catch up for the last 5 or 6 years. But so do you think Moussa Dembele, would be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku? Obviously, as I updated you on my previous video, I did today earlier on. Obviously, there were about Wilfried Zaha. He has basically, informed Crystal Palace, that he does want to leave Crystal Palace this summer. Does Wilfried Zaha? As I did say, I think the main reason why he wants to leave Crystal Palace because he wants to be in Champions League football. I think he wants to take his career to another level. Does Wilfried Zaha? He wants to take his career to another level. So he wants to be in Champions League football, and obviously he's not going to get this with Crystal Palace, and I think this is why he wants to currently leave Crystal Palace. But obviously he's not going to cost cheap. He's not going to be on the cheap. Wilfried Zaha, I think Crystal Palace value him around 70 or 80 odd million pounds. Obviously previously Arsenal have been linked to him. Previously Tottenham have been linked to him. Do you think? I think a vast majority of Manchester United fans would like to see Wilfried Zaha make a return to Manchester United, and I know he did fail at Manchester United in his 2-year spell with the club. He didn't really get the chance. It didn't really make an impact because he didn't really get the opportunity in that 2-year spell he had with Manchester United. Wilfried Zaha. Obviously, we paid £10 million for him. It was actually Alex Ferguson's last signing. Before he announced his retirement at the end of that season. But initially, he began his career with Crystal Palace. Did Wilfried Zaha. Then it came to United for a couple of seasons. Then he went back to Palace on loan. Had a loan spell also with Cardiff, as you all know. At the time, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was managing Cardiff. So could maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer may be keen on reuniting with Wilfried Zaha, and then he signed permanently for Crystal Palace in 2015, and he's been absolutely fantastic. I think he mainly plays up front, does Wilfried Zaha, doesn't he? He mainly plays up front. Well, I think he can play as a winner. He can also play as a forward, and obviously Man United want to recommend a winner to come in this summer, because that's obviously one of the areas where Manchester United are lacking. But Wilfried Zaha's got a contract with Crystal Palace until 2023. I think he signed this new contract back in August of last year, was it? August of last summer, I think it was. He signed this new contract till 2023, but he has been absolutely fantastic for Crystal Palace. I don't think Wilfried Zaha, he'll come back to Manchester United. I don't think Wilfried Zaha anyway, would want to come back to Manchester United, because he did say he wants to be in Champions League football. So I think he'll go to Arsenal if Arsenal can get into the Champions League for next season. Obviously if they win the Europa League, obviously they automatically go in the Champions League for next season to Arsenal. I think there's been talks that he could possibly go to Tottenham, Wilfried Zaha. But Arsenal and Tottenham have inquired about getting him in the past. But yeah, very, very good player, can score goals, 26 years of age, still in his prime, still has got a lot of years ahead of him. So I don't really see him, coming back to Manchester United, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So yeah, but there has still been a lot of talks about him going on. So I think he's going to be leaving Crystal Palace this summer, even though this Crystal Palace are reluctant to sell him. I think he's made his current decision, but I think Crystal Palace want around 70 or 80 million pounds for him, and that's what Wilfried Zaha is initially valued at. And I think he wants to take his career to another level. He wants to be playing to the highest level, because I think now Wilfried Zaha feels as though now he's good enough, to take his career to another level. And obviously, he's well Premier League proven. He's basically, learned his trade in the Premier League. But I don't see him coming back to Manchester United. Wilfried Zaha, even though we'd see him as a, probably as a replacement for Romelu Lukaku. But I don't know. But do you think Moussa Dembele, would be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku? But it's not guaranteed yet. Lukaku is going to leave the club, but he's heavily linked with a move to Italy. We've got good news in relation to Alexis Sanchez, and this is very, very good news, as you all know. I think now it's been agreed that Sanchez is willing to take a pay cut. Manchester United are willing to pay half of his current wages off, to send him out on a long season loan in Italy with either Juventus or Inter Milan. Because obviously, we can't sanction Alexis Sanchez off permanently, based on his astronomical wages. We'd love to get him rid of him permanently, but we can't, because his current wages, as you all know. But I think he's either going to Juventus or Inter Milan, as you all know. Juventus and Inter Milan have been in negotiations with Alexis Sanchez's agent over the move for Alexis Sanchez, and I think his actual agent, Sanchez's agent, has been in Italy. I think it said it a couple of days ago. Sanchez's agent was in Italy. Sanchez's agent, was in Italy. I think he was having negotiations with the Juventus director about Sanchez, making the move to Juventus and all that. And there was talks about Paul Dybala and Alexis Sanchez as a potential swap deal. So, do you think Paul Dybala, would be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku? Swap deals are very, very rare to the highest level of the game, to be quite honest with you. But Paul Dybala, he's 25 years of age. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him. I have got reservations about Paul Dybala. He can score goals, but if he came to Manchester United and he scored goals whilst he was adapting other areas of his game, I would be pretty happy with that. He's been on Manchester United's agenda, for quite some time now, as Paulo Dybala. Reports came out the other week saying that Man United were in talks with Juventus to, for a possible move for Dybala. The reported fee was around £85 million. I think Paul Dybala is probably likely to leave Juventus this summer because analysing throughout the course of this season, he's been in and out of the squad since the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus. Paul Dybala has found game time very, very difficult at Juventus. So he has been linked with a move to Manchester United. But there was talks of Sanchez and Paulo Dybala as a potential swap deal. But I don't know where he's going. It's going to be either Juventus or Inter Milan. Alexis Sanchez is going. But we are sending him out on a long season loan, and we are willing to pay half of his current wages off. So we can't get rid of him permanently. It's impossible. But obviously, Sanchez is one of the problematic players. And obviously, anyway, we want to get rid of him, of course, because he's been so inconsistent as a Manchester United player. And I believe his wages are having a bad effect on the club. He's been here 16 months now, and he's become injury prone, since he's become a Manchester United player as Alexis Sanchez. But I think it's definitely now likely he'll be playing his trade in Italy next season with Juventus or Inter Milan. But I thought when we got him, he'd been a fundamental player, looking at what he did at Arsenal. Obviously when Sanchez was younger, he played under Pep Guardiola, but he just hasn't exceeded expectations at Manchester United. And I think he's had experience of playing in Italy in the past, obviously, with Undinese. When he was a lot younger, he played with Undinese, did Alexis Sanchez. So yeah, it's good that we are currently getting rid of him, but I think he's willing to take a pay cut, and Manchester United are willing to pay half of his current wages, which is very, very good indeed. So he will be on about £250,000 a week in Italy, Will Sanchez. But obviously he's one of the problematic players. We are expected anyway, to orchestrate a big summer clear out, but he's one of the problematic players. Sanchez can play in other positions, and mainly when we've played him, we've put him on the left-hand side. And, I think when he was at Arsenal, the majority of his goals, came up front, Alexis Sanchez's, and he was really, really good at Arsenal, but he doesn't have a future now at the club. His age, 30 years of age now, is he? He has lost that yard of pace, and we know mainly anywhere he hasn't been first choice, Alexis Sanchez, but, I think, it's good that we're sanctioning him off. In regards to the news, in regards to Anthony Martial now, I think now Martial will be staying at Manchester United. I think his position is safe at Manchester United, Anthony Martial's. I know Anthony Martial's performances have been very, very poor, at least in the last couple of months. And there has been news circulating, was it last week and all that, saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was ready to sell Anthony Martial, because obviously Anthony Martial had reportedly infuriated Solskjaer. Solskjaer was obviously reflecting on his bad attitude, and his bad attitude in training, and his current behaviour. But I still believe that Anthony Martial But I still believe that Anthony Martial is the long-term solution for Manchester United, even though he has been in a bad vein of form in the last couple of months, because he's still very, very young. He's 23 years of age, is Anthony Martial. And obviously Manchester United gave him a new 5-year contract back in January, Anthony Martial. But I said if an offer was to come in of around £70-80 million for Martial, then maybe I probably would, maybe consider, selling him off. But I think he's now going to be staying at Manchester United, which is very, very good news. Because as you all know, he did say Solskjaer wanted to sell Martial, but I think it had been overruled by the Glazers, as it reported a couple of days ago. Joe Glazer had stepped in, and Joe Glazer had some kind of disagreement with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They had a disagreement. Did Solskjaer Solskjaer and Joe Glazer. And Joe Glazer, you know, is a big admirer of Anthony Martial. It's one of his favourite players. And Joe Glazer views him as the club's Pele. So I think now Martial's future has been decided. As you all know, he's 23 years of age. And we do know what he can be capable of on that left-hand side. You know, he's been at Manchester United 4 years now. And in this 4-year period, you know, we have seen glimpses of Martial's best form. We saw it early on throughout the course of this season. We saw it in his first season when he first came to the club in his debut season with Manchester United. You know, we got him as a 19-year-old. You know, we got him from Monaco in a deal worth £36 million, rising up to 57 million. Rising up to 57 million pounds. You know, based on goals and achievements. So I do believe he's still a long-term solution. Is Anthony Martial, but Martial was linked to a move away from Old Trafford last year. You know, obviously based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. Obviously, Jose Mourinho wanted to get rid of him, but obviously, you know, Ed Woodward had blocked this move from materialising. So I do believe that Anthony Martial is staying at Manchester United. He's still an important figure, a very, very important figure, but he hasn't graduated to that level yet. It could take him at least a couple of years to graduate to that level, but definitely keep Anthony Martial. In talks about Rashford, definitely keep Marcus Rashford. I know his performances have been way below par in the last couple of months. Man United won't sell Marcus Rashford off anyway, even though he has been linked to Real Madrid and Barcelona in the past. I think Man United are willing to keep Rashford. He's still 21 years of age, obviously knows the club inside out, obviously, you know, risen up the ranks with Manchester United, being United players since the age of 7, 8, you know, being in the senior squad of us, you know, since 2016. I know his performances have been way below par in the last couple of months of Marcus Rashford, but he has sustained, you know, quite a few injuries, and that's probably, you know, taking its toll on him, and it's had a bad effect on his game, because when he's playing to his potential best, we know what Rashford can be capable of. You know, he can get them runs in behind, he can score goals. Obviously, he's more effective, you know, when he's playing up front, you know, Marcus Rashford, than on the current left-hand side, but he's only 21 years of age, and as I said, it's going to take him at least a couple of years, you know, to graduate to that level, you know, where he does currently want to be, Marcus Rashford. But yeah, short-term problem reflect on his poor running performances, but I still believe he's the long-term solution. That same goes with Jesse Lingard. He's obviously more experienced than Marcus Rashford and Martial is Jesse Lingard, because Jesse Lingard's 27 years of age, and he knows what it's all about. You know, he's progressing up the youth system very, very well with Manchester United as Jesse Lingard, and we do know what Jesse Lingard, you know, can be capable of on that right-hand side. But I still believe, you know, Lingard, Martial and Rashford, that trio are still the long-term solution for Manchester United, and that is an absolute goddamn fact in my own opinion. I heard some United fans saying maybe we should loan Rashford out for a season. Nah, we need to keep Rashford because he's still very, very important for Manchester United. And as I did currently say, and a lot of players, probably, you know, players are going to leave United this summer. Obviously, all the players that we do want to currently leave, you know, they're not going to leave because we're not going to be able to do it in one summer transfer window. But I do believe we need to get at least 5 new additions to the club, and that is the most important thing. And talking about, you know, Nicolas Pepe, you know, I love him at Manchester United. You know, Nicolas Pepe. I think if he comes to the Premier League, you know, it will be another step. It'll be another step for him. It'll step up for him. This if he comes to the Premier League, and I think he's got all the attributes, you know, to succeed in the Premier League as Nicolas Pepe. Very, very good player is Nicolas Pepe. You know, he's only young, he's 23 years of age. He's obviously so far spent the entirety of his career in France with Lille. Quite a few teams have expressed their interest in him. Now I think he said Manchester United have been interested in him, PSG have been interested in him. I think Arsenal have previously been linked to him. I think Bayern Munich have been linked to him. I think Liverpool have been linked to him. Recent reports have said that Real Madrid have joined the race. So he's attracting interest from loads of teams, you know, reflecting on his impressive performances throughout the course of this season with Lille. And, you know, he's still got a lot of years ahead of him as this Nicolas Pepe. So I think it would be a step up a level for him if he was to come to the Premier League. And I think he'd do very, very well if he came to the Premier League. Obviously, he's the obvious candidate for the right wing, because obviously that's a position where Manchester United, you know, need to strengthen up, and Nicolas Pepe is primarily a right winger. There were reports coming out saying that Man United were eyeing a move of around £45 million for him, and that's a reasonable figure, but I think according to Sky Sports, Lille would demand that they want around £70 million for him if they were willing to sanction him off. But I think if Nicolas Pepe were to come in, I think he'd blend in very, very well in our attacking line. I think he'd look good alongside the likes of Rashford and Martial, because Nicolas Pepe's got goals in him, he's got assists in him, you know, he's got immense talent, he's quick, he's good on and off the ball, and he's got all the attributes to come and succeed in the Premier League. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that have been interested in him. Maybe a player player of his calibre of Nicolas Pepe, wants to be in Champions League football, and that is the thing, and this is what could go against us. But we have got the financial power to meet that £70 million. We have got the financial power to meet that £70 million, and Man United may be willing to offer him an astronomical amount of wages, to maybe convince him to come to Old Trafford. But he may actually, I don't know where he'll go. Could he be playing? He could be playing his trade in the Premier League next season. He may even go to France he may even stay in France and go to PSG. I don't know. He might come to the Premier League, and I'd love Nicolas Pepe, to come to the Premier League, because he's got goals in him. He scored 20 goals this season, provided 11 assists in like 30 odd games for Lille this season. So yeah, I'd love him at Manchester United. Nicolas Pepe, very very good player, and I think he'd do very very well on that right hand side. So yeah, I'd love him. I'd love Manchester United, to recommend him to come in. Other potential targets, Jadon Sancho. I'd love Jadon Sancho, to come to Manchester United, but I don't see Jadon Sancho coming in, even though Man United were willing to pay the £100 million for Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho, he's only 19 years of age, very, very young, one of England's youngest upcoming talents, and, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer showed an interest in quite a few British players, but I really, really like Jadon Sancho. He can play between the byline, he can score goals, he can provide, and he's been on Manchester United's agenda now for a very, very long time. For a long time, he has been the club's number one priority target. But I think he's set to turn down a £100 million move to Man United. Is Jadon Sancho. He's set to turn down a £100 million move to Old Trafford. Is Jadon Sancho, and I think he's intending on spending at least another season with Borussia Dortmund. And Borussia Dortmund are very, very convinced that he's going to remain at Borussia Dortmund. So looking likely Jadon Sancho will continue applying his trade in Germany next season with Dortmund. But he's obviously had experience of playing in the Premier League, with Manchester City as Jadon Sancho. So he's played in the Premier League, had a couple of years with City, never really got the chance at Manchester City, and this is one of the main reasons why he left City and went to Borussia Dortmund. And Borussia Dortmund only paid about £7 or £8 million to him. So looking at it financially, if Borussia Dortmund were to sell him for £100 million, they'd make a huge profit on the player. If they were currently to sanction him off. So I don't think Jadon Sancho is coming in. So obviously now we're obviously looking at other alternative targets than Jadon Sancho. And I think Nicolas Pepe, would be fantastic. I think he's primarily right winger. I think Jadon Sancho is primarily a winner as well, but I think you can put Jadon Sancho centrally. And there's been a lot of talk, about Daniel James from Swansea, and I think there would be quite a lot of Manchester United fans, that would like to see Daniel James, come in. Obviously, Daniel James plays for Swansea. Obviously, we've been hearing news, in the last week? I saw that Man United have been linked to him. Obviously, Sky Sports came out saying that Manchester United, were close to agreeing a £15 million deal for Daniel James. And to be quite honest with you, has he got the capabilities, to play to the highest level? Has he got the attributes, to come and succeed in the Premier League? I don't know, to be quite honest, because Daniel James has not yet ever played to the highest level, and I know he's only very, very young. He's 21 years of age. He's primarily a winner. He's supposed to be more effective than that left-hand side is Daniel James. But looking at it, £15 million is a reasonable figure. He has attracted interest, from quite a few teams as Daniel James. But looking at it, he's a low expectation. He's a cheap acquisition as well. He can score goals, as he has proven throughout the course of this season with Swansea City. I think he's got a year left on his contract. So Manchester United have also, been linked with him. He's a Welsh international. Obviously, I think Swansea got him from Hull City for around £72,000, was it? But yeah, I think he's played like 30 odd games for Swansea, throughout the course of this season. But Solskjaer in his press conference he refused to comment, on the speculation of linking Daniel James with a move to Manchester United. So there has been a lot of talks about that going on. And some people said, with Daniel James supposedly arriving in, that could put Anthony Martial's future in even more serious jeopardy. But I still believe either way, Anthony Martial is going to be staying at the club, even if Daniel James is to come in, because you can, if Daniel James wants to come in, we could maybe rotate Martial and put Martial maybe in like a more central position. So yeah, there has been a lot of talks about Daniel James. Quite a lot of Manchester United fans, would like to see him come in. And we need new additions in that midfield, as you all know. And I've already said to you, I'd like Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon. I think it'd be fantastic for us, with Bruno Fernandes. I think Sporting Lisbon want around £60 million for him. And Manchester United are still in for Bruno Fernandes. And I think Manchester City have obviously, been in there for him as well. Obviously, player Bruno Fernandes' calibre, as I do keep saying, the more attractive option for Bruno Fernandes would be Manchester City. But Manchester United are still in there for Bruno Fernandes. His initial release clause is £85, £86 million. He's primarily an attacking midfielder, so we see him as a good replacement for Paul Pogba. But I think we need creativeness in that midfield, and we need depth in that midfield, and someone that can score goals from that midfield. And Bruno Fernandes can do that because he's proven that throughout the course of this season with Sporting Lisbon. He's got loads of goals in him, lots of assists in him. Only 24 years of age, still got a lot of years ahead of him. Has got a contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023, but he has tied it up in Portugal very, very well because Bruno Fernandes had a lot of experience of playing in Italy, when he was younger, with the likes of Sampdoria and Udinese. And I think Sporting Lisbon only paid around £8 million for him from Sampdoria, was it, back in 2017. So he's been in Portugal with Sporting Lisbon now a couple of seasons as Bruno Fernandes. It didn't initially say that City had dropped out of the race for Bruno Fernandes. It did say City were in talks with Sporting Lisbon over around a £47 million deal. This came out the other week, and it did say City were willing to offer one or two of their players as part of the deal, but then it said City adopted him out of the race. But I still think now Manchester City are in for him. But yeah, very, very good player, and I do believe he's got all the attributes to succeed in the Premier League as Bruno Fernandes, and I think he will produce and deliver the same element of the performances that he has been doing in his couple of years with Sporting Lisbon. So yeah, I'd love him to come in at Manchester United. I think he'd improve our midfield very, very well. I think he'd be able to get us them goals that we do need from that midfield. So yeah, I think he'd blend in very, very well, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But yeah, they want around £60 million the Sporting Lisbon, and that was reported from the Daily Mirror. And Youri Tielemans, he's a player I'd love at Manchester United. Youri Tielemans, I really, really like Youri Tielemans, and I think he's been fantastic, since he's gone on his loan spell with Leicester. And again, Arsenal have been interested in Youri Tielemans, Tottenham have been interested in Youri Tielemans, and Youri Tielemans is a really, really good player, and he's done really, really well since he's gone to Leicester on loan from Monaco. I think from Youri Tielemans' perspective, he's basically made it clear. He said he's expected to return to Monaco when his loan spell ends with Leicester, but I think Leicester have been in talks with Monaco, because I think Leicester want to get him on a permanent deal, because Leicester are aware that the likes of my club, Man United, are interested in him, Tottenham are interested in him, Arsenal have been interested in him. I think he is a central midfielder, he's Youri Tielemans, but he's done really, really well, to be quite honest. He's got goals in him, he's got assists in him, he's only 22 years of age, so he's still only very, very young, is Youri Tielemans. So yeah, I think he'd be the right solution for Manchester United, if he was to come in. So I think the likes of, Youri Tielemans and Bruno Fernandes in our midfield would be fantastic. Looking at Bruno Fernandes says 60 million, Youri Tielemans 40 million, because that's what Monaco rate him at. That's £100 million spent there on two players, and we're getting £250 million this summer. So if we got them two players for 100 million, we'd still have £150 million left to spend, plus the money that we've cashed in for Pogba, the money we've cashed in for Lukaku if Lukaku leaves the club and all that. So yeah, that's good. That's cheap, for two good players. £100 million for Bruno Fernandes and Youri Tielemans. Whether Youri Tielemans wants to leave Monaco, when he does go back to Monaco, I do not know. But Leicester want to get him on a permanent deal. And other midfielders, Manchester United have been interesting. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks about West Ham's Declan Rice, and I love Declan Rice at Manchester United. Again, available for around £40-50 million. So, say we got Declan Rice, Youri Tielemans, and we got Declan Rice, Youri Tielemans and Bruno Fernandes. That would cost us around £150 million for them three players. And, Declan Rice is supposed to be valued at around £50 million. And I really, really like Declan Rice. He's one of England's youngest upcoming talents. He's 20 years of age. He's primarily a defensive midfielder. And I think we need a defensive midfielder. And that's one of the priority areas where we've got to strengthen up. And, Declan Rice breaks up the play. He's an energetic midfielder. Well Premier League proven. Learned his trade in the Premier League. And he's one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's prime targets. Is Declan Rice. So I'd love him to come to Manchester United, because he's been at West Ham a number of years now. He's been in the West Ham senior squad, a couple of seasons. But yeah, very, very good player indeed. And I'd love him, to come to Manchester United, of course. And so we have been linked with him. Joe Felix from Benfica, I think he's a very, very good player, Joe Felix. And I'd love him to come to Manchester United. It's also said City have expressed their interest in Joe Felix. Joe Felix is very, very young. He's 19 years of age. I think his buyout clause is around £100 million. Is Joe Felix's. His buyout clause around £100 million. I think Man United have been scouting him at least for the last couple of months, reflecting on his impressive performances. And primarily an attacking midfielder, can play as a winner, can also play as a striker. So yeah, I'd love Joe Felix, to come to Manchester United. And I think it's only been his first season this season in the senior squad with Benfica. I don't think he's yet made his senior debut for Portugal. But yeah, again, he's got goals in him, he's got assists in him. So I'd love him to come to Manchester United. United. So that's another midfielder I'd love to come in. So we have showed an interest in quite a few midfielders, because I'm pretty sure now probably Paul Pogba is going to leave the club. He's going to end up probably still going to Real Madrid, even though recent reports have said that talks between Paul Pogba and Real Madrid have stalled. Based on Paul Pogba's 13 million a year wage demands. This is having a bad effect on negotiations between Pogba and Real Madrid. I think Man United don't want to sell him anywhere, but I think if we had to do any business with him, we want around 150 or 160 million pounds for Pogba. Reportedly, Real Madrid are not willing to pay that, because I don't think they can afford to pay 160 million pounds there for Paul Pogba. But Paul Pogba, as I said, it's not guaranteed he's going to leave in the summer, but it's looking more than likely that he currently will. Paul Pogba, he's been here for just over 3 years now. Manchester United, of course, paid £89 million for him from Juventus back in 2016, and obviously our most expensive signing. Has it worked out? No, it hasn't worked out, and this is why I said earlier on, always getting a Galactico players, always spending big on players, doesn't always get you in that commanding position where you want to be. And to be fair, we have seen the glimpses of Paul Pogba's best form since Solskjaer's coming in. We mainly saw it in that 3-month period, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. We mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba, when Ander Herrera was playing, and that just shows how much of an impact Ander Herrera made in that midfield, because he used to free up Paul Pogba, and that's when you saw the best of Paul Pogba. And Paul Pogba's still got 3 years left on his contract with Manchester United, of course. He's on about 290 grand a week at the moment. He did say Real Madrid were not willing to match his £290,000 a week wages, so he did say reportedly Paul Pogba would have to take some kind of pay cut to join Real Madrid. But obviously, Paul Pogba's Zinedine Zidane's idol, and obviously, going back weeks ago, Paul Pogba was talking a lot about Real Madrid, about his desire, and his dream to play for them and all that. And Zinedine Zidane, of course, is a big admirer of the player. But Paul Pogba's 26 years of age. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him. But maybe one of the main reasons why he wants to leave Manchester United, because maybe he wants to be playing to the highest level, wants to be playing in Champions League football, wants to be winning trophies, wants to be playing amongst better players, and he isn't getting this at Manchester United. This is maybe one of the main reasons why he wants to currently leave. But Paul Pogba was heavily linked to a move away from Old Trafford last year, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. He was linked to a move away from Old Trafford last year. He was linked to Barcelona. He was linked with his former club, Juventus. Was Paul Pogba. And there were still reports coming out quite recently saying that Juventus were interested in re-signing Paul Pogba. But it did say Juventus may have to offload a couple of their players, to fund the move for Paul Pogba. A couple of their essential players, because I don't think Juventus could afford to get him out just outright without any swap deals involved. But it did say Juventus had met up with his agent Raiola, of course, and but his agent Raiola, at least in the last few weeks, I'll say the last 3 or 4 weeks at least, has been in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club. He has been working on it. But Paul Pogba's performances have been way below par, at least in the last 7 or 8 games, and that just emphasises, that he doesn't want to be at Manchester United. As you all know, the Daily Mail reported, was it yesterday, that Barcelona were allegedly preparing to put a bid in of around £130 million for him. It did say Barcelona could maybe offload Ivan Rakitic, to fund the move for Paul Pogba, so there were talks about that. It was unknown whether Barcelona were willing to meet his wage demands, but it just said in the Daily Mail, Barcelona willing to put a bid in of around £130 million for their Paul Pogba. But we can get around £150 million for Paul Pogba. We could get 2 players there with that money. And like I said, Bruno Fernandes, Youri Tielemans, Declan Rice would be fantastic. They're going to cost you around £150 million. So that you could say 3 players for getting rid of Paul Pogba, because I said but Sporting Lisbon want 60 million for Bruno Fernandes, that's 60. If Monaco want 40 million for Youri Tielemans, that's 100 million. And Declan Rice, if West Ham, rate Declan Rice at around 50 million pounds, that's 50 million. So that's 150 million pounds on 3 midfielders. And we've got to strengthen up in that midfield, because that centre defensive midfield position is very, very essential, because I think the likes of Nemanja Matic isn't good enough. He's aging up. I know he's well Premier League proven, and okay, in a few of his games, Matic has demonstrated, that he can play really, really well, but he's too slow, too ineffective in that midfield. Plus, Fellaini left in January as well, so obviously, we're going to need a replacement for him. So there's lots to do this summer. There's definitely, lots to do. Talking about that, we do need a central defender. We definitely need a central defender without a shadow of a doubt. We need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof. We need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line, because I've analysed Lindelof's performances this season. They have been very, very impressive this season, Victor Lindelof's performances. He struggled in his first season, didn't really settle in his first previous season, but this season he's done really, really well. He's held his line at the back very, very well. His distributions looks very, very good. He showed that ability that he can play out from the back. So I have been very, very impressed with Victor Lindelof throughout the course of this season. But we need someone that can go alongside him. And obviously now we know that Koulibaly is our number one target. And I think Manchester United probably would have to break the world transfer record, to get Koulibaly on the board. I think he's probably one of the best centre-backs in the world in his current position. He fulfills, and obviously Carlo Ancelotti has said, he's regarded him as one of the best centre-backs in the world. Comparing him to Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk, I'd say throughout the course of this season, Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk has definitely been better than Koulibaly. Obviously, Virgil van Dijk at the moment is obviously, the most expensive signing, because obviously Liverpool paid £75 million for him in January of 2018. So he's been at Liverpool about 16 months as Virgil van Dijk, and he's been absolutely fantastic as Virgil van Dijk. And imagine Virgil van Dijk and Koulibaly in Liverpool's team. That would be great from a Liverpool perspective. But I can't see Liverpool intending on spending another load of money on a central defender. And they don't need a central defender. They've got Van Dijk. They've got Joe Gomez there. It's my club, Man United, that need a central defender. Koulibaly's been on Manchester United's agenda for some time now. We had 3 bids turned down for him last year. Obviously, we're heavily linked to him under the Jose Mourinho era, and we're working on the process of getting Koulibaly. But obviously, last summer, the board didn't back, the signings that Jose Mourinho, wanted to recommend to come in. And our priority last summer was to recommend a centre-back to come in. But I do believe that Koulibaly, would address our deficiencies, fantastically well in our defence. He's highly experienced. He's 27. He's nearly 28 years of age. So yeah, I think he'd be fantastic. He'd be a good leader in our backline. I think he'd blend in very, very well alongside Victor Lindelof. And he's still got quite a lot of years ahead of him. I know he's nearly 28, so he is aging up a bit now. But I'd still like him to come in, because we haven't had a world-class central defender, since we had the likes of Vidic and Ferdinand. And I do believe Koulibaly's got all the physical attributes and all that, to succeed in the Premier League, of course. But he's strong, he's quick, he's very, very good in the air. He's Koulibaly. Still under contract with Napoli till 2023, of course. He's been at Napoli a number of years now. He's made about 211 appearances in all competitions. So yeah, I'd love him to come in. And I think there is something in this, because it has been going out of a lot of media outlets. So I think there's some trustworthy in these rumours, linking Koulibaly with a move to Manchester United. And but Man United will probably have to break the world transfer record. I don't think Man United would be keen on paying maybe 120 or 130 million pounds for Koulibaly. Maybe we'll try to convince Napoli to sell him for around 80 or maybe 85 or 90 million pounds. But yeah, definitely, I'd love him to come in. And I know there's been other central defenders on our agenda. But yeah, Koulibaly, would be my number one. I'd like Leicester City's Harry Maguire. Some people have said we do need 2 central defenders. And Harry Maguire and Koulibaly, just would be absolutely fantastic. But if I had to choose out Harry Maguire and Koulibaly, obviously, it would be Koulibaly, because obviously Harry Maguire's not on Koulibaly's level. But I still really, really like Harry Maguire. Very, very good player. Well Premier League proven, tall as well, which is very, very good. Being at Leicester a couple of seasons now. And I've analysed his performances and they have been very, very impressive. Got a long-term contract with Leicester, so he's on the contract with them till 2023, so still 4 years left on his contract. Signed his new long-term contract was it last summer? Yes, it was last summer, I think, with Leicester. But yeah, well Premier League proven, 26, still got a lot of years ahead of him. Was previously valued at around 70, 80 million pounds. Harry Maguire, I think that's what he was previously valued at. But I don't think we're intending on breaking the world transfer record for Harry Maguire. But yeah, I'd love him, to come to Manchester United. And we've got the financial power, to double his current wages. So yeah, I'd love Harry Maguire, to come in. And, as I did say, other defenders have been mentioned, Rafael Varane. I don't see us getting Rafael Varane, though. Toby Alderweireld, of course, has been mentioned from Tottenham. He's available for a reasonable figure this summer. And financially, looking at it, he's a really, really cheap alternative, as Toby Alderweireld. And maybe some Manchester United fans would like to see him come in this summer. I still think he'd be a great upgrade in our defence, with Toby Alderweireld, without a shadow of a doubt. And but there has been a lot of talk about him. But I do believe, that we need a right back as well. We definitely need a right back. We need a replacement for Antonio Valencia. We need an upgrade to Ashley Young without a shadow of a doubt. I want Ashley Young to go in this summer, but he won't be going in this summer. I still believe he will be at Manchester United next season. Ashley Young, way past his sell-by date. Ashley Young, as I said, I think Rojo and Darmian will go in this summer, which is good news because we can get around £30 million, for Marcus Rojo and Darmian. Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, I want them to go in this summer, but I don't think they will. I still believe that Chris Smalling and Phil Jones will be at Manchester United next season. It was a bad mistake from us, giving Chris Smalling and Phil Jones new long-term contracts. Comparing Smalling and Jones, I think Smalling's a much better defender than Jones, but I still believe that they both need to go in the summer, but I don't think they will. I still think they'll be at Manchester United next season. So, yeah, lots to sort out at Manchester United. But the main part of this video, was to give you an update on in regards to Moussa Dembele and all that. Manchester United in talks. Manchester United, are preparing to put a bid in of around £48 million for Lyon's Moussa Dembele. We're probably identifying him as a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because Lukaku could be leaving the club this summer. Moussa Dembele, 22 years of age, very, very young, still got a lot of years ahead of him, being very, very impressive throughout the course of this season, in his first season with Lyon. So yeah, do you think he's got the attributes, to succeed in the Premier League? Moussa Dembele, as you all know, he used to play for Fulham, did Moussa Dembele, so I think he has played in the Premier League when he was a lot younger with Fulham. And so there has been a lot of talks about him going on. So anyway, guys, drop your comments below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless. And the other video you saw earlier on, no, not that video. I think it was the one before, if I can remember right. That was actually from last night, but I actually fell asleep, so I think I actually uploaded it this morning. So that's just something else to give you an update on. So as I said, anyway, guys, drop your comments below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing to the channel as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.